got an issue with the camera, and I don't have it. Oh, yes, I do. A second, let me clean the camera. It looks a little hazy. Alright, there we go. Hey guys, morning. I figured if I'm going to talk to you guys this morning instead of this afternoon, the only way I'm going to be able to do it is traveling. So, good morning everybody. Happy Tuesday. I'm Bullhorn Betty. I cover true crime. We're covering the case of Jack, Lilly, and Sebastian Rogers. I did some in-depth. I've been up since about 5 a.m. this morning, doing a lot of work, and I'm reviewing some stuff in the Jack and Lilly case. Jack and Lilly are two siblings that disappeared from Nova Scotia on May 2nd. They were reported missing by their mother, Malehya Brooks-Murray, at around 10 a.m. There has been a massive manhunt into the missing brother and sister. Lilly is 6 years old, Jack is 4 years old. And one of the most peculiar situations in this case is the fact that their mother took off the very next day after they were reported missing and has never returned and has since lawyered up. So it's not really looking very positive for a positive outcome in this case. I think we're going to be dealing with much of the same situation that we're dealing with in the Summer Wells case, that we're dealing with in the Sebastian Rogers case, that we're dealing with in a lot of unknown cases that we've never covered, where it appears that there may have been something that happened to the child, and for whatever reason, the actually, let me get background on here. Put that up. So you guys don't have to be all nosy. Hey Seth, it's nice to see you. Good morning. So, it's just, I feel like it's going to be a same situation. We're listening. A lot of us aren't familiar with Canada or Canada law. This is kind of an interesting case, to say the least, because we're learning a lot, and while we're very comfortable here in the States with our law enforcement and our law enforcement practices, the laws and how they handle these type of searches differ from country to country. I mean, this is a completely different country that has completely different rules than the United States. And they're just, everybody that I see on the screen, from Nova Scotia, they all seem, very passionate about trying to find these children and bring them home safely. But we all know what law enforcement truly believes. They stated it very early on. I truly believe they found something that kind of geared them to believe that the children were deceased, by May 4th. I really don't believe it had a whole lot to do with the elements. I think there was more. I think there's more to that statement than meets the eye, and I think we should be ultra focused on it. So now I'm kind of monitoring law enforcement out there, which again, we're a fish out of water because we don't know their laws. We don't know their policies and procedures. We don't know what they're supposed to do. The good news is it does sound like they have a lot of resembling type of laws. We do know that they do have a CPS, a Child Protective Services in Canada, which I was, interesting. It was interesting that we use the same name for that. You just don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's good for us to assume that we function the same, because we're two separate countries, and they can lock their country down, and our country's not supposed to be like that. So they definitely have different laws in place than we do, and their government definitely has more control over their citizens than our government here in the States. So what is law enforcement saying? Law enforcement's basically saying that they've got nothing. I mean, it's almost verbatim with Sebastian Rogers' case. Remember the search. I mean, take all the BS out of it, all the craziness out of it, and just go back to the day of February 26th to February 29th. We were hearing the same stuff out of Sumner County. They weren't finding anything, they were still trying. They were under the assumption That's what they were using, is this word assumption. They were under the assumption that that Sebastian had just wandered off, and he stated that on his last press conference in April, over a year ago. The sheriff in Sumner County can't even show his community, the public abroad, or the family of Sebastian Rogers some common courtesy and just give them an update. He is the most disrespectful. You know what? And I always told you, it's one thing to keep your mouth shut like Moscow, Idaho did, and produce results. It's a totally different thing to tuck your tail between your legs, go run off and hide, be the sheriff of a county, a newly elected sheriff at that, and then still not provide them any. So you're just a failure. Sumner County, Eric Craddock and his leadership is failing. It's failing the community in big numbers. All he is a pretty face on a political flyer. That's all he is. That's it. He's just arm candy for me. Okay? He does not have what it takes to be the sheriff, and I think the people of Sumner County have to smarten up. Just my personal opinion. I don't live there. I'm not going to make rules for you people. But I will tell you, what you're living in, you don't have to live like that. You can make changes and live much differently. There's a lot of corruption in that county. But one thing I do know on both of these cases, there's not enough attention. Sebastian Rogers hasn't had an article, hasn't had any new information breathed into his case. And if we're not breathing new information into the case is getting stale. It's getting cold on social media. Much like what's going on with Lilly and Jack. They're not really giving us a whole lot to chomp on. This case, theoretically, is going to die down. We're not going to be talking about Lilly and Jack's case in another 2 weeks. Okay? It's definitely not going to take our attention for a year like Sebastian Rogers' case did. Why? Because Nova Scotia is not providing any information. And they're running out of people to interview. The news is thinking outside the box. They're talking to retired Nova Scotia detectives. They're doing everything right in mainstream media to keep the case alive in their community. But I'm very concerned because we're not getting any RCMP updates. Very little's coming out of the RCMP, and that's, I think, a direct result because there is a criminal investigation. I don't believe they know the story. They believe the parent's story. I believe Malehya's lawyering up is a great indicator that they're in hot water. But we knew that before we even heard that she lawyered up. How did we know that? Because what mother runs away from her children and stays gone? And what grandmother just wants her to stop talking to everybody? That sounds like they know Malehya is involved in a mess, a criminal mess. That's what it indicates to me. And they are trying to protect herself by hiring a lawyer and shutting up. She has a right to remain silent. And she is remaining silent, whether it's good for her kids or not, because she's selfish, right? She only cares about her own hide. Apparently, she's accepted that her children, her 2 young children, are deceased. She makes me sick. The mother, it's the mothers. You know what? I look at dudes and it's like, we know guys can lose their temper. We know guys can be violent, and that is stereotyping, right? It's stereotypical, because what we don't see that women can be just as violent and do terrible things. And I think in our society, we need to start looking at the moms. Many people would have looked over at Daniel Youngkin instead of Leilani Simon, when Leilani Simon was the evil, twisted woman that gave birth to a son that she abused until he was deceased. It wasn't Daniel that did that, it was the mother. And so is that going to be the same situation here? It seemed like she had the script. She knew what she was going to do, and then something got real for her. And when it got real for her, she knew she was in over her head. She took off with her mom. She lawyered up, and she hasn't been seen or heard from since. That's pretty clear. Now, I know the hate channel's going to be like, oh, everybody grieves a little differently. Not like that. They don't. Nope. I ain't buying it. And I'm sick of people using that same awful excuse every single case. No. It's kind of funny. We got moms out there that would give their life, like Yvette Hoffman, that dove in front of 8 bullets to save her adult daughter. And, you know, we got a mom that's missing 2 children, presumed dead, and she's hiding. That's pretty telling. That is pretty flippin' telling. And likewise, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, right? Likewise. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, similar situation. Mom ran away. Mom and stepdad are hiding. When they rear their ugly head, it's to shame people that think they did something. And that's it. No avocation for Sebastian. Katie even got a memorial tattoo. She's come to acceptance that she's never seen her son again. I find that appalling. I'm a stranger. Never met Sebastian a day in my life. I'd love to. Sounds like a great kid. And I have more hurt in my heart with this situation than his own mother that gave birth to him. I find that appalling. I find that reprehensible. I find that wholly problematic in my world. But again, these 2 cases, Lilly, Jack Sullivan from Nova Scotia, these beautiful faces right behind me. And then we have Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Oops, I always hit the wrong darn button. I don't know why. I guess I think that's the photo button. Some of these things you got to scroll up. Sometimes you got to scroll down. Got to love it. Okay, there we go. And Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. These are thousands of miles apart. And one happened last year, one happened this year. But how odd that there are so many different similarities between these 2 cases. I mean, look at the mom's behavior in and of itself. Compare Malehya's behavior to Katie Proudfoot. Seriously. Even when Katie was at the, did she talk? No. There is literally identical behavior between Malehya, different scenarios, but the behavior is identical. In my opinion, from my viewpoint, identical. And that's a problem for me. So now we have to look, especially when it comes to Lilly and Jack's case, because Daniel's been in the spotlight, you know, but we got a little sneak peek of behind the scenes with Daniel Martell. And that sneak peek really did just tell my mind exactly what it needed to know. I was wondering if he was manipulative and if he was doing this for a show, and it was exactly that. We have a text message saying he was running through he should get a freaking medal, a Nobel Prize, right? He needs a Nobel Prize for doing what any normal person would do in that situation. But he wanted the guilt trip for it. He wanted people to know about it. He didn't just do it from his heart. No. He wanted to, you know, oh, I was running through the streams up to my waist. I could have slipped on a rock and hit my head and died. I could have been impaled by a branch and died. And the whole world will never get to see that. And there you have it. So he wanted the whole world to see it. That to me is putting on a show, because people that are truly looking for their lost children could give an F about what the world could see. They could care less whether the world sees anything. They don't have time to think about the rest of the world because they're too busy thinking about their child and where their child could be. Doesn't make sense. So, guys, thank you for being with me. I wanted to let you guys know that actually we got a few minutes. I'll go park and we'll have a few extra minutes before I have to wrap up. But like I said, it was one of those things where I was either going to go live with you guys or not. So you guys were going to have a few minutes with me this morning, or we were going to wait until this afternoon. I'll try to go live a little this afternoon, but I did some research. We have, you know, even Lilly and Jack's case, there really isn't an update on it. The only thing that's really providing any type of updates at this point is the Decker case. Travis Decker still on the run. I'm sorry. I've still got a problem with everything I'm hearing. I've heard no concrete information attached to Decker at all, and we're now in the third week. They've got to like. I just want to know that there is a DNA connection, that they found something that attaches to him somewhere other than Rock Island, and that they don't know. Every time anybody asks the sheriffs a direct question, it's speculative, it's subjective, it's not concrete or factual, and it's starting to wear on me a little bit. And it's because I really truly believe he's deceased, and I know I don't want to doubt law enforcement. I mean, this wildly, you know. So I just want to hear that there is something concrete DNA wise that directly links to him, you know. And then, you know, it'll close that worry box that I feel like he's out there in Rock Island somewhere, you know, deceased. And that's really all I'm trying to garner here. And I know that I'm nothing special, and law enforcement doesn't need to give me or anybody any information, but they're communicating with the public. And so if they're going to communicate with the public, I think they have a right to know, you know, whether it truly is a possibility and just not a theory. Okay? And that's the problem I'm having. Yes, they'll still comply with whatever law enforcement says, but maybe they're intentionally trying to make it vague. So we report exactly what they say, even though it doesn't make sense. I don't know. They haven't been able to produce one thing. I mean, we're in the third week. I should say 2 weeks. We're in the third week, and they haven't been able to produce a piece of paper, any type of garbage wrapper, you know, for whatever he's eating. They haven't been able to, there was bloody handprints on the truck. They haven't been able to produce anything that might have some blood on it. They can't tell us that the shoes, the footprints that they were tracking, matched the soles and had plaster, you know, impressions done, and they match from the shoe prints at the crime scene. You know, these are the tail signs that are telling me that they're on a right track with Decker's case. You know, and they're right now in Catitas, I think, Catitas County, something like that. And they think that he's over in it's like Clee something. It's CLE, and then there's a space and it starts a new word. And I can't remember the name. I said it on my video this morning, but without it, the actual word in front of my face, I can't pronunciate it. But either way, they're in a different area. Is that him making the L, like he's going back toward Canada? I just haven't heard anything concrete, and I just want you guys to know that I have been paying very much attention, because you guys know I'm just trying to find that scintilla. And when they found him, I changed my theory, you know, of him being deceased, and I'm like, well, he's truly on the run because they picked up his scent. They say they got a scent, but then when we heard the press conference, it really wasn't as confident as I thought it would be. You know, law enforcement was not confident. I mean, he was honest. He says, we don't know if it was him. We don't know if it was a Travis Decker the cop the helicopter saw. They don't know. I would have liked to have heard him say something like, we don't know if it's him. However, with the, you know, the footprints matching and the scent being in the area, we're confident that it's him, you know, kind of, I don't know, confirming it, you know, and corroborating it all in the same, you know, the same situation. So I don't know, but that's the only case that we're covering right now. That's a public interest case that is actually giving us some updates. Let me see what we got here. Now that I'm stopped, I can reach you guys. Hey guys, Mama said I take deception detective with a grain of salt. He's not always right. He can only speculate. It's based off his it's an opinion based off his experience, much like mine. I mean, to be honest with you, that's what we do. We take the facts and speculate what it means based upon my experience. Yeah, it's kind of how we roll. Lisa B. always in Massachusetts. They would have already picked up the last parent with the kid, while in most states. Yeah, I know. Okay, so you guys are talking about probably the Lilly and Jack stuff. And I have to agree, but I heard, and I don't know how to take this because I heard that there was a statement made that didn't make sense to me. And the statement went something like this. I think they said that the baby, they didn't call her Meadow, they said the baby was now in the custody of the state or something, in something custody. And no, it said that neither parent has custody of the baby. I think that's what the post said. Neither of the parent have custody of the baby. So it implied that they've also removed, Meadow out of Malehya's custody, and I've been trying to confirm if anybody knows whether that is true or not. I'm a leader, not a follower. I never follow the crowd mentality. I'm careful who I put. Yeah, I get it. I mean, yeah, it's all it's your opinions, and you guys believe who you want to believe, and follow who you guys want to believe or follow. And I find that it's interesting because you take little bits. When I hear this stuff, I formulate my own opinion. Like Mama Bear is basically describing here, she does basically the same thing. You hear little bits here and little bits there, and then you process the facts and you figure out for yourself. You figure out for yourself what is what makes sense of that information. We kind of guide you with our opinion, but our opinion could differ from your opinion. So we always just try. That's why it's so important for me just to really, really, really give you the facts, and you guys can build your own theories and speculation while I'm telling you guys about mine. Sometimes those, perfectly match, and sometimes they don't, and sometimes it's just a combination. Like, certain things that this person said might make sense, but certain things that this person said might make sense, and so you take pieces of this and pieces of that, and you kind of develop your own thought process on that. Proudfoot and Bower Sox have numerous motives to get rid of. I agree with that, but it was just so horrible how they looked at him and how they treated him. That to me is the most problematic for me. I feel bad for Sebastian, hearing his story, learning who he is, knowing that it's a case that I normally wouldn't cover. I'm glad I did cover this case. I'm glad we gave him and his dad a fighting chance. But it hurts me. It hurts me, and but it's real, right? It's real. It kind of smacks you in the face a little bit, and it just, I think our brains can be very imaginative, and I think we try to paint this big, beautiful picture, because our that's what we want. We want to know that we're safe, and, these things aren't going to happen. They'll happen to somebody else, but they'll never happen to us type of mentality. And, we just see horrible stuff, and it's just real, and it smacks us in the face, and it really tortures us, our hearts. And so that's what makes us fight so hard for these strange people. We have no idea who they are, but we know they suffered, and that's the hard part. And I feel like Sebastian suffered. He was only 15 years old, and God knows where he's at right now, or if he's being taken care of, or if he has food to eat, or if he's still being abused. It's heartbreaking. All these cases are heartbreaking. But the one thing I say, and I just want it to resonate with everybody, is, we cover the same exact case over and over and over and over and over again. We just replace names and faces. That's kind of how we, not all the time is it's going to be the same playbook, but That's kind of how we have, you know, kind of these preconceived notions and statistics that tell us it's going to turn out this way. Does it always turn out this way? No, it doesn't. But we have a high probability that it will. And that's the problem I have. So we'll keep working on it. Hey, Miss Lee, Mama 3, Mama Bear, Robin, Lisa B, always. I know Melanie's back there, our beautiful mod squad. I forgot to tell you hi. I was driving. Crystal Pistol. Aw. Well, it's nice to see you guys. All my beautiful coffee beans. Aw, Gypsy girl, it's nice to see you. Yeah, when I emailed her about joining her, I mentioned a mom of 3 ID, mentioned about signs, but I couldn't remember your ID, LOL. Oh, is it Miss Lee? Oh, okay. Gotten lost in the thousands of emails she get. Okay, I'll have to go back there and look. You might want to, Miss Lee, you might want to resend it. I'm not going to be able to get to it now. I'm about to walk into a meeting. And my meeting's like, you know, like an all-day thing, but I'm going to cut out early. So I'll probably be here until about 10:30. It's either 10:30 or 12. I leave at a break. So I'll either leave at 10:30 or I'll leave at noon. So one way or another, that's kind of my schedule today. And then we'll do another live this afternoon, you know, once I get situated and stuff like that. I have a hearing first thing in the morning tomorrow. So, and it's going to be pretty lengthy. So I won't be going live directly at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And the rest of the afternoon after my neck, I have 2 lives scheduled, one on this channel and one on our other channel. And once I get those 2 knocked out, you guys probably won't hear from me the rest of the day while I prepare for my hearing. So anyways, guys, that's kind of the schedule. I love you guys. I want you to have an amazing Tuesday. I will be back with some more stuff. And if you guys hear of another case, we got Lilly and Jack's case. We can only monitor that at this point. We've got no new information coming out in it. So we'll keep it updated. So we will be focusing on Sebastian. As many of you guys know, Thursday is going to be a very, very long day for the coffee club. If you guys would like to participate. All right, guys, hopefully you see me. Sorry about that. The phone went dead because it overheated. So it's getting a little hot, I guess, Florida sun, whatever the case may be. So anyways, Thursday, we're going to be having a really large brain session to identify any organizations or anything we need to get on board. And we're going to be starting to get a committee together for the big, beautiful request for Governor Bill Lee. So we'll be working on that tomorrow. That's going to be a probably 4 or 5 hour live. So be prepared to stick around for a while as we start discussing this case. All right, guys, I got to go. I'll see you soon. God bless you, and rock it out with your coffee beans out. And I'll try not to overheat the phone.